Hey guys, it's Miss Simpson and it's time for Math Today. We are going to start reviewing everything that we have gone over with you this year. So we are going to start with something you learned at the very beginning of the school year, and it is called place value. So right now, as I'm getting our paper ready to review place value, I want you to pause the video and think about, what do you remember about place value? What are the houses? What are the periods? Do I have decimals? What are the decimals called? Maybe write something on your paper to help you remember or jog your memory about place value. So on my paper, real quick, I am going to write a number in standard form and review with you the different place values. So let me write a number: 1,265,395,121 and 21 hundredths. Woo! That is a big number. So for now, I'm going to forget about the decimal and I'm going to focus on this big number and remind you the different houses. The houses are periods. So when we have a number, they are broken up into 3 chunks, and we stop in 4th grade at the billions, and that's why we're not going to keep going on from that. But they are broken up into 3 chunks. So I like to think of these chunks as, you remember it, houses. So we have the ones place, the tens place, and the hundreds place. And most of you guys always remember this. But then we have the next one, and it is the thousands house. So this is the ones house or period. Now we have the thousands house. So let's draw our little, and you guys know I'm absolutely horrible at drawing, but I'm doing my very best. So we have 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000. Notice it's the same as this. We just add 1,000 on there. So ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. This is our hundreds house or hundreds period. So next, you should be able to guess with this pattern what's next. Next, we have our millions. You are right. We have our millions house or our millions period. I did do it in green, but it's kind of hard to see on my screen. But it follows the same exact pattern. We have the 1 million, 10 million, and 100 million. And then after all of our millions that we've talked about, we have the billions place. And yes, the billions does have the 1 billions place. So sorry. The billions place does have 3 that go with it, but in 4th grade, we stop at the 1 billions place. So we have our 3 periods: ones, hundreds, millions. Why did I put hundreds there, guys? Ones, thousands. There we go. Ones, thousands, millions, billions, because this is 1,000. I do not know why I put hundreds there. So if we were to read our number, we would have 1,265,395,121. So now let's review the decimal place value. So we start with the tenths, and then this one is the hundredths. So I want you to say tenths. Now I want you to say hundredths. Good job. So when we do after the decimal, we don't start with the ones. We skip the ones and we go to tenths and hundredths. To read this word or to read this number out loud, we would say 1 billion, because that's where we read it. We read it at the comma. 265 million, we read it at the comma. This is just 265. Until I put it into a number, we don't know what to say at the comma. So 1,265,395,121. So when we get to this decimal point, when we're reading the word out loud, we say and 21 hundredths. So just like the comma here, when we get to the end of our decimal, we read whatever that last place value is. So if I were to have 0.2, this is in the tenths place value. So this would be read 2 tenths. Because just like our period, when we read the house, when we get to the comma, we read whatever place value you end with when we get to the decimals. So this would be 2 tenths, and this is 21 hundredths. 21 hundredths, not 2 tenths 100ths. You just read the very last place value. So again, let's talk about the different forms you can write a number in. So a number can be written in standard form. Standard form is the just regular way of writing a number. So for example, a number in standard form might look like, we're going to do 125,362 and 25 hundredths. So that is standard form. That's the normal way that you're used to seeing numbers. Next, we have word form. And this is the ones where we put the number in to words. So to put this one into words, we would start off by reading this number out loud. So remember, we read at the commas, 125. That's what that number is until we get to the comma and we read the period that it's in. 125,362 and 25 hundredths. So now we got to write all of that out. So 125,000. Remember, we don't say and until we see a decimal. And is not a word in your vocabulary when you're reading words and when you're reading numbers until you get to a decimal. 125,362. And now I just say the number like normal, 25. And just like a comma, we read whatever the last place value is. So 25 hundredths. 25 hundredths. That is word form. You write it out in words. Then we have expanded form. Expanded form is when you break the number up by its place value. You stretch it out by its place value. So for example, on this one, I would start with my 1. So I would write my 1 and I'd fill the rest of the place values in with zeros. So 1, 0, 0, comma, 0, 0, 0. And you don't have to put decimal 0, 0. You don't have to, but I'm going to. Just to see that you put zeros into all of the rest. So then we're going to add it to, and we're going to move to the next place value. So I would put a 2, and then the rest of the number I would put zeros in. 2, 0, comma, 0, 0, 0, 0.00 or decimal 00. Plus, go to the next place value, 5, comma, 000, decimal 00, plus next place value, 3, 0. Remember, I'm going place value by place value and adding zeros in there. Then I would do plus 60 plus 2 plus decimal 2, because and fill it in with zeros, plus, and this one is a little bit harder. You have to add in that 0 for your tenths place. So I'll show you what it is. Decimal 0.5. So you have your 2 and you can add that decimal, but you have to have some placeholder, because if you just put decimal 5, I would think that the 5 would go right here. So you have to have a placeholder for that 2. So this is when we take a popcorn kernel and we pop it into expanded form. It's big, it's nice, and now it's a big full piece of popcorn. And now I'm going to blow your mind, and we're going to go one step further with expanded notation. Once your number is in expanded form, it's a lot easier to get it into expanded notation. So to get it into expanded notation, this is where we do the multiplication part of your number. So what you're going to do is whatever the first number is, you're going to write it down in a parentheses. So let's look at this first number, and we're going to write down our 1 times, and then you will add, if this wasn't a 1, we would have put a 1 there, but it would be 1 times 100,000, because that's what that number is, plus, so now we're going to take out that 2, and we're going to multiply it by whatever place value that 2 is in. So that 2 is in the 10,000s place. Notice it is in the 10,000s place. So 2 times 10,000. Now I'm going to take out that 5 and add it to whatever place value it's in. So really, all you have to do is take out the 5 and make it a 1. And then add it back in there. 1,000. Plus, next time we're doing this, 3. Take out the 3, replace it with a 1, plus 100, because the 3 is in the hundreds place. That's why we're adding it in there. Plus 6. Because we're taking out that 6, and we're replacing it with a 1, and that gives us 10, plus taking out that 2, making it a 1, 2 plus 1, 2 times 1, plus, these are my X's, sorry guys, times, 2 times 1, plus, we're almost done. Okay, here's where we get tricky. We've got to pull out that 2. You see there's a 2 there? And you're like, what am I going to multiply it by, Miss Simpson? Well, you're going to multiply it by whatever place that 2 is in. That 2 is in the tenths place. So you can multiply it by 1/10. You might also see that written as 2 times 1/10. It's the same thing, because that is 1/10 and that is 1/10. It's the same thing. And we're almost done. And we're going to do 5, pull out that 5 times whatever place value it is in. And it is in the hundredths place. 0.01, hundredths place. So you could also see that written as 5 times 1/100th, because it's the hundredths place. Woo! All right, that was a lot of reviewing all of the different place values and how you can write a number in each of those place values. So we are going to work again on this tomorrow. So if you're struggling with this expanded notation, I understand. We're going to go back over it tomorrow. We'll go over it in small groups as well. Your biggest one that you should know how to do by now is you should be able to read a number in standard form, even this decimal tenths, hundredths, so 25 hundredths. You should be able to write it in word form and expand it into expanded form. Expanded notation, we might need to work on just a little bit more. So for your assignment today, you are going to do this fast focus paper. So it is all about, it is word problems that have to do with place value. So it might ask you, this is the number, what is the value of R in that number? It might ask you about what is the place value of the represented digit? And it's going to have the numbers in a variety of forms. So you're going to need to know standard form, word form, expanded form, and expanded notation. All right, so I'm going to post the anchor chart down below. I'm going to post your assignment down below and just do the very best that you can. I love you guys. Have a